Trains are usually symbols of comfort, progress, and romance. But not all railways are gentle rides through scenic landscapes. Some trains race along cliffs where a single mistake means a plunge into oblivion. Others grind across deserts where survival itself is uncertain, and a few cut straight through bustling streets where accidents are just one heartbeat away. These are not your average rail trips. These are the world's most dangerous train journeys. Routes where adventure collides with terror, and where passengers pray that steel wheels will hold against the odds. Buckle up, because this ride won't be smooth. Number 10. Qinghai-Tibet Railway, China. The Qinghai-Tibet Railway is often celebrated as a marvel of modern engineering, but beneath its sleek steel tracks lies an extreme journey that pushes both man and machine to their limits. Stretching over 1,200 miles, it climbs to an astonishing 16,640 feet above sea level, making it the highest railway on Earth. At that altitude, oxygen levels drop dangerously low, and passengers often suffer from headaches, nausea, and dizziness, symptoms of acute mountain sickness. To combat this, carriages are equipped with built-in oxygen systems, turning the train into something closer to a pressurized aircraft than a locomotive. But altitude isn't the only threat. The railway crosses frozen tundra, earthquake-prone mountains, and permafrost that shifts with the seasons, threatening to warp the tracks beneath the train. Temperatures plunge to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit in winter, and sudden blizzards can trap trains in desolate stretches where survival is no guarantee. Engineers had to build bridges and cooling systems just to stabilize the shifting ground, yet even today, the line remains at the mercy of nature. Riding the Qinghai-Tibet Railway is breathtaking, yes, but it's also an unforgiving test of endurance, one where the air is thin, the risks are high, and the scenery feels otherworldly. Number 9. White Pass and Yukon Route, USA/Canada. Originally built during the Klondike Gold Rush of the late 1800s, the White Pass and Yukon Route isn't just a train ride, it's a brush with danger wrapped in stunning wilderness. Stretching from Skagway, Alaska, into Canada's Yukon Territory, the line winds through razor-thin mountain passes, past sheer cliffs, and over rickety trestle bridges that look far too fragile to hold a full-size locomotive. The narrow-gauge tracks cling to rock faces with 1,000-foot drops just inches away, making passengers feel as though the train is suspended in midair. Back in the early days, construction workers endured avalanches, deadly falls, and brutal weather to carve this track into the mountainside, with many paying the ultimate price. Today, while the journey is marketed as scenic, it still carries an undeniable edge of danger. Fog often blankets the mountains, hiding the abyss below until the train suddenly bursts through, leaving passengers gasping at the dizzying drop. Even modern trains must crawl carefully around the sharp bends to avoid derailment. The White Pass and Yukon Route may offer panoramic beauty of glaciers and forests, but beneath the postcard views lies a ride built on hardship, risk, and a legacy of peril carved into the cliffs. Number 8. Kuranda Scenic Railway, Australia. The Kuranda Scenic Railway in Queensland may look like a tropical paradise on wheels, but don't let the lush greenery fool you. This is one of the most precarious train rides in the world. Built in the late 1800s through dense rainforest and rugged mountains, the line was carved by hand through sheer rock faces, costing dozens of workers their lives. The journey snakes through the Barren Gorge National Park, where the tracks cling to cliff sides with nothing but jungle and dizzying drops below. What makes it truly nerve-wracking are the countless tunnels and hairpin turns cut straight into unstable rock. Heavy rainfall often triggers landslides, sending boulders crashing onto the tracks with little warning. Engineers fight a constant battle against the rainforest itself, which seems determined to reclaim the railway. As the train crawls past the roaring barren falls, passengers are treated to both a spectacular sight and a chilling reminder of the raw power of nature surrounding them. One misstep by the train, and the jungle wouldn't hesitate to swallow it whole. The Kuranda Scenic Railway may be marketed as a scenic adventure, but it's also a journey where beauty and danger ride side by side. Number 7. Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad, USA. The Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad might sound like a nostalgic ride through the past, But this narrow-gauge railway across Colorado and New Mexico is as dangerous as it is beautiful. Built in the 1880s, it twists through the Rocky Mountains at over 10,000 feet, crossing high trestles, sharp curves, and narrow ledges carved into steep cliffs. Looking out the window, passengers see sheer drop-offs just inches from the rails, where a derailment would mean a plunge into the wilderness below. The biggest threats on this journey aren't just the dizzying heights, but also the volatile mountain weather. Sudden snowstorms, fierce winds, and freezing temperatures can strike without warning, leaving the old steam engines struggling up icy tracks. In the early days, avalanches and rock slides were frequent, burying stretches of the railway and sometimes entire trains. Even today, maintenance crews constantly battle against shifting terrain and falling debris. The creaking wooden trestles, built more than a century ago, add an extra layer of tension as the train inches across them. The Cumbres and Toltec isn't just a ride through history, it's a white-knuckle test of trust in century-old engineering, surrounded by mountains that never forgive mistakes. Number 6. Georgetown Loop Railroad, USA, Colorado. The Georgetown Loop Railroad in Colorado may only stretch a few miles, but what it lacks in length, it makes up for in sheer heart-stopping danger. Built in the 1880s during Colorado's silver mining boom, the line was designed to conquer the steep, narrow valleys of the Rocky Mountains. To achieve this, engineers constructed an audacious series of curves, switchbacks, and towering trestle bridges that twist and spiral up the mountainside like a roller coaster. The most nerve-wracking feature is the Devil's Gate High Bridge, a spindly structure suspended 95 feet above a rocky gorge. When the train crawls across, the wooden beams creak, the steel groans, and passengers can't help but glance nervously at the canyon yawning below. To make matters worse, the track clings to unstable mountainsides prone to landslides, rockfalls, and sudden snowstorms. In its early years, derailments and accidents were not uncommon, and even today the ride feels perilously close to the edge. Though it's marketed as a family attraction, the Georgetown Loop Railroad is anything but tame. It's a historic marvel that dares trains to defy gravity and passengers to keep their nerves steady as they dangle above the unforgiving Colorado wilderness. Number 5. The Death Railway. Thailand and Myanmar. The infamous Death Railway, stretching between Thailand and Myanmar, is one of the most chilling train journeys in history. Built during World War II under Japanese occupation, it was constructed by over 60,000 Allied prisoners of war and nearly 200,000 Asian laborers. Working in brutal jungle conditions with little food, medicine, or rest, tens of thousands perished from disease, starvation, exhaustion, and abuse. The line's grim nickname is a direct reflection of that suffering. Today, parts of the railway remain operational, and passengers can ride the very tracks carved out of unforgiving terrain. The most harrowing section is the wooden Wang Fo Viaduct, where the train creeps along rickety planks nailed to a sheer cliff, overlooking the River Kwai below. Every creak of the wood reminds riders that these tracks were built with human lives. Beyond the physical danger of narrow bridges and steep drops, the journey carries a heavy weight of memory, ghosts of those who never left the jungle. For some, riding the Death Railway is an act of remembrance. For others, it's a thrill ride along precarious cliffs. Either way, it's a journey steeped in danger, tragedy, and a haunting chapter of history that still lingers in the air. Number 4. Tren a las Nubes, Train to the Clouds, Argentina. High in the Argentine Andes lies the Tren a las Nubes, or Train to the Clouds, a journey that feels less like a railway ride and more like flirting with the heavens. Starting in Salta, the train climbs to an astonishing 13,800 feet above sea level, making it one of the loftiest railways on Earth. At this altitude, oxygen thins and passengers often struggle with dizziness, pounding headaches, or even fainting spells. To help, carriages pump in supplemental oxygen, though it doesn't erase the sense of fragility as the train inches along narrow ledges carved into mountainsides. The route includes dizzying switchbacks, tunnels blasted through sheer rock, and hair-raising viaducts where the train seems suspended in midair. The most famous is the La Polvaria Viaduct, a steel giant stretching 735 feet long and soaring 210 feet above the valley floor. Crossing it, Passengers stare into a void of jagged cliffs and yawning canyons while the train crawls forward, creaking under its own weight. Add in unpredictable Andean weather, sudden snow, landslides, and bone-chilling winds, and this is no ordinary sightseeing trip. The Tren de las Nubes is breathtaking, yes, but it's also a high-stakes gamble with altitude, engineering, and the raw power of the mountains. Number 3, Pamban Bridge, India. The Pamban Bridge in southern India isn't just a railway, it's a gamble against the sea. Opened in 1914, this century-old structure was the first sea bridge ever built in India, stretching nearly 2 miles to link the mainland with the sacred island of Rameswaram. What makes it so terrifying is not only its age, but its location. The bridge lies in the path of the ferocious Bay of Bengal, where cyclones, high tides, and powerful winds constantly test its strength. Its most unique feature is the central drawbridge section, which rises to let ships pass. When trains approach, they must slow to a crawl, rattling across narrow tracks with nothing but a roaring ocean on either side. Passengers often feel the spray of salt water and hear the metallic groans of the bridge beneath their feet. The danger isn't hypothetical either. History remembers the 1964 Rameswaram cyclone, when a passenger train was swept off the bridge into the sea, killing over 150 people. Even today, trains halt if winds exceed 34 miles per hour because the risk of derailment is too great. Crossing the Pamban Bridge is a haunting mix of beauty and fear, an engineering feat forever at war with the ocean's fury. Number 2, Oud-Nikotchupche, South Africa. The Oud-Nikotchupche, once South Africa's last remaining steam-hauled passenger train, is remembered as both breathtakingly scenic and unnervingly dangerous. Running from George to Nisna along the country's southern coast, the railway hugged the cliffs of the Indian Ocean, threading across narrow bridges, plunging ravines, and winding mountain passes. On one side, passengers gazed at lush forests and rolling hills. On the other, a sheer drop into crashing waves below. The scenery was so beautiful it distracted from the reality. One slip of the tracks, and there would be no way back. The most nerve-wracking stretches were the coastal bridges, where trains seemed suspended between sky and sea. Strong winds whipped at the carriages, while salt spray corroded the steel beneath, raising constant safety concerns. Rock slides and flash floods often threatened the line, forcing sudden closures. Even the steam locomotives themselves added an element of risk, groaning under the strain as they dragged heavy carriages up steep gradients. Though the Chucho was officially suspended in 2009 after severe storm damage, its reputation lives on. For those who rode it, the journey wasn't just about stunning vistas, it was about trusting an aging train to carry you safely across nature's raw, unpredictable edge. Number 1. Nariz del Diablo, Devil's Nose, Ecuador. The Nariz del Diablo, or Devil's Nose, is often described as the most dangerous railway in the world, and with good reason. Carved into the near-vertical Andes in the early 1900s, this stretch of track zigzags up and down sheer cliffs, relying on sharp switchbacks that make the train crawl forward, then reverse, then lurch ahead again. One wrong move, and it's a 1,000-foot plunge into the rocky gorge below. Even the name comes from the mountain itself, whose jagged profile resembles a devil's face, a fitting omen for a line that has claimed countless lives. During construction, workers faced landslides, dynamite accidents, disease, and deadly falls. Many never returned home, giving the railway a cursed reputation from the very beginning. For decades, passengers heightened the danger by riding on the roofs of the cars, seeking the best views but risking being swept off by low tunnels or sudden jolts. Roof riding is now banned, but the sense of peril remains. The steep grades, narrow ledges, and constant threat of derailment make every curve feel like the last. To ride the Devil's Nose is to embrace fear and fascination at once, a battle between human engineering and a mountain that never wanted to be conquered. These railways aren't about first-class comfort or luxury dining cars. They are tests of human will, survival, and engineering against some of the harshest conditions on Earth. From trains that skim over raging seas to those threading through crowded markets, each journey carries its own unique brand of danger. And yet people continue to ride them, not just for the thrill, but for the stories they leave behind. Because sometimes the most dangerous rides are also the ones we never forget.